are coming into so many times of transitions for so many people. We got kids going back to college galore. I think we had like 8 or 9 seniors this year, and I've been watching on Facebook, they're going back, so we need to keep them in our prayers. Our kids that have been off for the summer are now back into school, and it's hard after you've been sleeping in to get back in there and having to sit still again, you know, and so they're back to school with that. So we need to keep all these transition times in our prayers that are happening. We're also coming back into a routine here. We want to see our chairs all full again with our summertime. We've been a little bit up and down with people on vacations, everything. So let's keep our church in our prayers, that we can really make a difference in our world, that we can reach out and do things. So with our new program on Wednesday night and then just on Sunday nights, just keep our church in our prayers. All that garbage in the Middle East, that's scary, scary stuff. You know, I always talk about it here, this is our living room. This is God's living room. We come together here. We are brothers and sisters. But we got brothers and sisters in other parts of this world who are scared today. And we need to keep them in our prayers. We may not know their name. We may not know the specifics of what's going on. But we can pray for them. So think about those people and just think somewhere in the world there's a mom. Somewhere in the world there's a dad. Somewhere in the world, you know, there's somebody we can relate to. So even if we don't know their names, pray for those situations. We got some praises from the Andersons. It's always exciting to get the praises. Bethany and Jeff, their daughter and son-in-law, made it to their mission trip, so we're very excited about that. They were here a couple weeks ago, and I still have the little blessing, the Chinese blessing, and I always think of that every time I see this, which is prayers of good, fruitful ministry for them as they get started. So excited for them. And their son Jonathan got a job, so it's always good too. More transitions, new jobs, I tell you, it's just the season. So, all right, so let's go to our God in prayer. Thank goodness we have our God. So, dear Heavenly Father, we just need you. So badly we need you. Our world needs a Savior. And it's so easy to get puffed up and think, oh, I can do it, I can do it. You know, the whole American way is be sufficient, be self-sustaining. But Lord, we need to rely on you. We need to trust in you more. We need to depend on you, and we need to reach out to our brothers and sisters here in this room and all across the world. Lord, bless us and guide us, protect us, lead us, and help us to be smart enough to obey. God, there's so many transitions and so many things going on, new ministries, new jobs, new colleges, new back to school, new teachers. God, I just ask your blessing and your direction. Help each and every person who's starting anew to shine your light brightly. And now, Lord, as we get to hear an awesome story from the Hostetlers about their experience in Haiti, Lord, open our ears so that we will hear and be inspired. In your name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Jim. Before we get to bring up the Hostetlers, we're going to spend just a little time building community. We've been doing this for the month of August. So I hope you enjoyed finding out some different things about people in this room. So what we're doing is I'll throw out a scenario and I give you some options. And you have to go to one of the 4 corners based on the options I give you. And once you're there, you can find out who else shares the same length of ice cream. We did that. The same vacation spot. We talked about that. So this one here is near and dear to my heart. I'm sure many people. Let's talk about food, shall we? Yes. All right, so if you were to go out to eat tonight, not right now, but after service, right? So here's your 4 options I'm going out to you. You would go to an Italian place. You're going to come up here. If you go to a Mexican place, come up here. If you're going to do a Chinese, back in that corner. And if you just like the all-American type of food, back in that corner. All right, so there's your choices: Italian, Mexican, Chinese, all-American. Go to the corner that you like. Oh, she's running.
Okay. Where are you going?
Chinese is over here.
Oh, yeah.
here that the group has to come to a consensus. What would you like to eat? Where would you eat?
Some sort of chicken, I hope. Yeah. So they do. It's usually like one section, you know, the kids come, they know the kids are probably not going to want I'm from Lincoln, Kansas, so I don't know if I know the same ones out here. That is true. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
All right. Looks like we have eaten. So let's start back in the Far East there, in Chinese. Where would you eat? What's your suggestion?
Where are we going? Top China?
Top China buffet? Yeah. All right. Let's go over to Elmer.
Texas Roadhouse.
Woo! Texas Roadhouse. That was my birthday. Over here. El Camps for Mexican. And for Italian? Olive Garden. All right, very good. So take a look around, see who enjoys eating with you. Then have a seat. Thank you. All right. Hey, thanks everyone for doing that. Knowing community is very important, not only in church, just around you, before you get to know people, more comfortable you are with them. So, thank you for participating in those. So I'd like to introduce to you tonight Beth and Chris Hostetlers. Say hi, Beth and Chris.
Hi, Beth and Chris.
And Beth and Chris have been coming for several months, and Chris doing some music stuff, and their son Jeff is in the back. Jeff, stand up and wave for us. Notice the striking family resemblance. Jeff is new to the family for what, a couple years, 2 years now? Almost 2 years. All right, yeah, there's the thing. Okay, so we're going to get to that story in a second, but first, Chris and Beth have been to Haiti on several mission trips. So let's go back to, tell us the first time why you went to Haiti, what did you do there?
We always wanted to do a mission trip, and we figured we'd go to Africa, and that never happened. And when the earthquake happened in Haiti, I was glued to the TV and felt that we needed to go. Chris is a nurse, so they want nurses. I'm an accountant. Nobody cares about an accountant. But yet, I was the one probably pushing it. And so you call around and try to get people to help, but they really didn't want me. They wanted Chris. We wanted to go together. And then I just mentioned it to people and tried to call, and then my dad brought a newspaper up, and my childhood church had been helping at Jeff's orphanage for a year before the earthquake. And so I was like, oh, that's great. We might know people from my childhood church, and we did. So we started going to meetings, and we were supposed to go with a group of like 20 people. And there was a doctor, and of course they wanted Chris to be the nurse for the doctor. And I don't even know what my job was. I was just tagging along. I know. So again, I had really no job. And we purchased tickets, and we were within 2 weeks of going with this big group. And it was May or June, and the earthquake happened in January. And I bent down at work and picked up a binder that probably weighs 2 pounds, and my back went out. And we've already had our tickets bought and everything, and I was like, I can't go to third world country and lay on the ground. So we had to cancel, and I was so upset about that. And we only had one vacation left in October of that year. And I said, we really should go. But we actually had a free condo in Fort Myers that we never have ever had or got. And I said, no, we need to cancel that and we need to go. So Chris and I went by ourselves. There was no group going.
That's bad. So you canceled Fort Myers free condo to go to.
Right. And obviously, everything's a God thing throughout this whole thing. Like, why would my back go out by picking up a bike? Or I don't think if we would have went with a large group that I would have spent the time with the kids. And I just don't know that I would have met Jeff or had the impact we had. So everything from the beginning was a God thing. So we decided to go by ourselves. and then in preparing for that, we had so much work. We had to decide what we're going to do. We were going to build screens, which is a joke. My dad laughed at us because, and we took supplies, and it was just, we were on our own mission trip, so we had to do everything. And so we went, and the first day the lady said, would you be interested in adopting? I said, heck no, we're here for a week, and I really just thought it was a week to do a good deed and just be done.
Wait, so they asked you, would you be interested in adopting on the first day?
Well, not really, because you have to be married 10 years for Haiti, and you have to be over 35 and married 10 years, so a lot of people don't qualify. So yeah, I think she was somewhat serious. I don't know why she asked us really. And I said, heck no, this is 1 week and we're done. And we've been married 22 years now. We had decided not to have children, and that was our choice. As far as we know, we can have children. And then the second day I said to the lady, I was like, how would you pick a child? There was 127 kids there, ranging from babies to 18 years old. So I was like, how would you pick someone? And then as the week went on, there was things that I would do. We'd play games, and I would just be playing with Jeff and all the other kids around. And I was just kind of wish that it would just be me and Jeff, like that the kids would kind of like leave me alone so I could just play with Jeff. And that's terrible because I'm not like that. I want, and I had said to Chris at one point, I had mentioned Jeff, and we started talking, and I pointed him out. And as we go back through all the pictures, Jeff was with Chris just as much. And from that point, we just started kind of watching him, and he just had such a good personality where he'd play with the kids, but then he'd clean up. He wouldn't disappear when it was cleanup time. And, he was good with the little kids and the big kids. And I was like, how am I bonding with one kid when there's like 5 other kids attached to you, like 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, and they're all just attached. And the other thing that I think was a God thing too was, when we went, there was no, well, they really hardly ever had electricity, but they have generators. But the generators were broke. There was no electricity. There was nothing. The kids were really down in food at that time. And within a month or 2 of us going, the transition of who was running the orphanage changed. And a lot of churches dropped out support. And a girl that was from Denison took over the orphanage, and she's a school teacher in Strasbourg, just gave up her whole life to take over the orphanage. And that all happened really within a couple months of us being down there. So it was kind of a desperate time. Now if you go down, they have a lot more support. They still need a lot of support, but it's a much happier place, and they have a lot more supplies. And now they even have a soccer team.
All right, now before we get to Jeff, let me ask Chris a question here. Chris, you went down to do nurse work. Could you tell, do you remember that big earthquake that hit Haiti? Just devastating. 200-some thousand died. So you were down there in October, this happened in January. Did you tell us a little bit? What did you see? What did you do? The conditions?
Really, we didn't get much of a tour because there wasn't that many people down there at the time. So usually when bigger groups would come in, they'd set aside some time and take you through the town, take you through Port-au-Prince, take you through the areas that have been devastated, so you can kind of see what really happened, what really took place. But we did happen to get a window one afternoon that we were able to jump in a car and go downtown, and they kind of buzzed us through real quick. As far as the nursing stuff, that never happened because, like I say, the doc had already pulled out in the earlier trip. So we were down there doing things like painting the buildings, building screens, trying to keep the mosquitoes out, like she had mentioned, of the kids' dorms. But there was a lot of destruction. Major cathedrals with whole, 2 or 3 walls, 2 or 3 sides just crumbled to the ground and nothing but rubble. You'd have to drive around piles of this rubble of buildings that had just fallen down. it was really, it looked like a war zone had happened. Like when you watch like the war overseas and footage of things that have been blown up, that's what it looked like happened. But other than that, it was just a lot of tent cities, just as far as you could see, different colored tarps and people living in tents off the side of the road. Actually, Sean Penn, one of the actors, is really, and still is, I think he's like an honorary Haitian at this point because he has done so much for them and brought so much awareness and has gotten Hollywood involved to the point of donating some pretty big money. And I think probably because of his movement, a lot of the tent cities have kind of went away. People are starting to find their way down there a lot more now. But a lot of UN involvement, a lot of disruption between power struggles between UN and the police. Fighting amongst law enforcement was really wild. You don't think of that here. You think they team up and they work together for the common good. But down there, they fight for the power. But I guess that was just kind of an overview. It looked like a war zone, but it was just simply an earthquake that wasn't all that powerful. It was, but it wasn't like what we've experienced here in the States, like out in California and so on and so forth, but it was a combination of the earthquake and the type of construction that they use, which is part of why things just kind of fell apart when it hit. But the devastation, we took a beach day and actually went up north to a resort and had a beach day and swam, just kind of got away from everybody a little bit and had some relaxation time. One of the Haitians that runs the school at the orphanage was driving us, and when we came back, we had asked him, because we had heard about the mass grave where all the 200 plus thousand people had perished, where they had buried them, and it was just a real thing.
Did they drive you?
Well, the beach day was about the fourth or fifth time down there. We didn't get back for a while. We got to take Jeff and his family. So the first time was no fun at all. We only went to the beach a couple times, and it is just little black crosses, just thousands and thousands. And I don't think people realize, because even like I had people at work say something about the Philippines, and about 6,000 people died in the Philippines in 2013. And she goes, oh, well, that was so much worse than Haiti. And I'm like, there's like 230,000. And I mean, everything's a tragedy. I don't get you wrong, but it's just, I don't think people realize, and Haiti's such a poor country to begin with. And I think before the earthquake, they were really getting things improved, and it just set them back so much. And it's just too bad. It's so close. It's in the Caribbean. The water is beautiful. It should be a resort area, but they just have had so much trouble past that it's just really sad for them, and that, you know, they are so close, and it's just one of those situations. But out of the tragedy, it's like, our life has totally changed. And
let's talk about Jeff. So
Jeff
a couple
has
years ago,
interesting
we meet Chris and Beth playing soccer, and we got a kid on the team named Jeff that plays with Mason. And all of a sudden, you're parents of a teenager. So, parents, you've got them at the baby beyond, you got that whole, no, we skipped all that, we just jumped right to teen, right? So tell us about the adoption, how did that come by?
Even everything in the whole story is God working, because, I thought it's definitely everything is the Lord. Even the fact that when we got him in September 2012, the whole adoption is a terrible struggle. It's expensive. It's a third world country. Every other day they want something different. We had a Haitian attorney, but on this side I did everything. We didn't have an adoption agency. We didn't have an attorney. And Chris would be like, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? And I'm like, I have no idea. But I kept feeling like if the Lord is leading us, it's going to happen. And it did. And we're one of the only people that's been able to adopt from the orphanage. They had a few kids that were adopted, that were in process of that were humanitarian parole during the earthquake, but since us, nobody has. And in September 2012, we flew down, and the adoption wasn't even final, and we just bought tickets, and I was like, we've got to get this finished, and we brought him home with us at that point. And in September 2012, Haiti changed the rules, and you can't even, if you went down and you bonded with a child, you can't adopt that child. You can't adopt any child you meet. If you want to adopt, they'll pick a child for you. I would have never adopted, because that wasn't on my heart. It's just like, I know the Lord wanted Jeff to be our child, not any other. And all the kids are sweet and everything, and it's just kind of sad because it's really difficult to adopt right now. But yeah, so Jeff, we, like I said, the other thing is too, through the week we were watching Jeff, and I was like, wow, what a great kid, but I still wasn't thinking adoption in my mind necessarily. And when we were leaving, like I said, there were so many kids around me all the time. There's 127 kids. We say goodbye, and they're all saying bye to us, and they go back, they go play and do whatever they're doing. Jeff at some point ran around us to the gate, and it's kind of like, they put wire up. It's all, because they didn't want people coming in and taking food after the earthquake, so it's like brick and the razor and a big gate, and there's a guard at the gate, and he ran around us and was sitting like pretty far over, like further than you guys. And I'm going to go through the gate, and I turn my head, and he's by himself just looking at us. Like, the kids are never by themselves, there's so many. And I just looked at Jeff, and I was like, oh my gosh, Jeff, and I ran and gave him a hug. And then we said bye, and then we went through the gate, and I started bawling. We're walking through the streets of Haiti, and I'm bawling. And I said to Chris, I was like, we need to adopt Jeff. And over the years, we say, hey, do you want to have kids? No. We're going to have kids. Biological clock, are we having kids? No, we're not having kids. And Jeff and Chris says, yes. And we get home, and we were like, no, we want to make sure this is the Lord working, and it's not emotions, it's nothing else. So we decided we'll go home and wait for a couple weeks. Then we contacted them and said we might be interested. And we said, don't tell Jeff. And we said we're not interested in adopting him if he has biological parents or siblings, because we figured his parents were dead and we didn't think he had any siblings. Well, they told Jeff, and he has a biological mom, he has a biological father, and he has a biological brother. They're all alive. And so I said, no, why did you tell him? And I'm like, this is a good thing. But it was just meant to be. So it's just, everything was meant to be. And we've met his mom actually every time since that first time, because we went down and talked to her and made sure it was fine. And even when we were bringing him home, she doesn't speak English, and I said to the other Haitian, I said, is it bittersweet, like is this sad? And she was just happy because she knows Jeff has an opportunity that he doesn't have in Haiti. And I thought as a mother, that would be so hard. She had to give him up once to the orphanage so he could get an education, and that's what the people have to do down there. If she didn't give him up, he wouldn't have been able to go to school. She'd have to pay for school. So you'd have to find a way to feed him. And then they even make them wear uniforms if you go to actual regular school, not like the orphanage schools. So it would be impossible. So she had to give him up, even in Haiti, for him to get an education. And she's a wonderful woman. And then, she was actually excited for him to be up here. So he calls down and talks to her, and she's very happy because she just knows it's just, no matter how hard you work in Haiti, I mean, if you're born poor and you don't have the opportunity to get a very good education, which is difficult, it doesn't matter how hard you try. It's not like the United States where, I mean, I know things are hard here, sometimes too, but you can make it work, so.
Now, let me open it to see if anybody has any questions here. Did you hear anything you'd like to ask? Something where you didn't hear that you were curious about?
Those children, do they talk English?
Do they talk English?
When we went down, they didn't speak much English at all. So Jeff has learned English. He skipped grades because he was in lower grades in Haiti, and he's done really well. Now they're really speaking a lot more English, and a lot more people are coming down from the United States. So some of them, their English is really improved. But like I said at the time, I said to Jeff, I go, how did I know you didn't have a brother? His brother's in the orphanage. And I don't know if he tried to tell me, and we just couldn't understand each other. It's surprising how much love you can get from people, even though you don't understand a word either of you're saying. But yeah, now they're working on it, and some of their English, some of the kids speak pretty well. So, but they speak Haitian Creole, and French is their second language. So English would be their third.
The one in the back here?
Was it harder for you because you weren't with the group to go down and donate, serve your time, mission work, because you were on your own versus going with the group?
Yeah, I think that's why I feel like we bonded and everything, because when I felt like when I was on my own, I kind of said to her, what do they need? And they need everything. So we almost always went by ourselves. The last 2 times Jeff and Krista went down, I haven't been able to go, and they went with a group of Oliver, but we've always kind of just planned. We're not handy, so we plan around that, but we always do games with the kids and take treats for the kids and paint or do whatever jobs that we can do. And there's other people that know how to do plumbing and stuff like that. So yeah, some groups have better focus. But yeah, I think it made us a lot more nervous, and I planned more because I can't even remember the 2 weeks before. I don't think I had stuff packed. We take so much luggage. We pay as much extra as you can as the airline will allow us, and it's just full of clothing and food and our activities and I think if we would have went with that group, I probably would have been socializing with people and taking care of the kids, but I just don't think it would have been the same experience. Which I think, I think it's safer to go in a bigger group, and I wouldn't recommend people just going individually, but I felt like this was just another thing in the Lord that He led, that He knew we were going to be Jeff's parents, and this is the way it was supposed to be, so.
Well, you've heard their stories, so if you want to talk to them more, catch them after the service or sometime. So I want to thank them both for coming up here and talking about around the applause.
And sometimes Jeff offers like his story. Jeff's life is so interesting, and I know being a teenager, you won't want to talk about it when he's older. It's just the things you've seen and the transitions, like getting on an airplane with 2 people you've only seen so many times, they're foreign country. I'm just really excited when he gets older, when he wants to talk and stuff.
Oh,
so,
sure.
Yeah.
Just a great kid. So. We all share stories and have stories, but the one common thing that brings us together is Jesus Christ and our love for God. So I wanted to take tonight's time just to have communion to kind of remind us what that bond is that we do together and how our stories bring us together. So if I could have my communion people come on up here, we'll get ourselves set for communion here. And then after communion, we'll wrap up with our last song tonight. So Jesus was sitting with his best friends, and he knew what was about to happen, but he still took time to sit with them and to share with them. And at that time, he held up the bread, and then he broke it in front of them and said, this is my body, and it has been broken for you. Each and every time that you eat this, remember what I did for you. And then he held up the cup, and then he said, this is my blood that is poured out for you. Each and every time you drink this, remember what I have done for you. And with that, they celebrated communion together, community together about what God has done. That's what we do tonight, as we remember. So let's have a word.